Hello, educators. Welcome to the Writers Workshop. I'm Dr. Sarah Donovan, and I'm taking you through some writing tutorials about personal narrative today. So this is part 3 of the 3-part series on personal narratives. So check out the first 2 if you haven't, and otherwise we're going to dive into the last part. All right, so here's the last part of the tutorials, though there's more other parts later that you'll take a look at. I'll explain more in a minute. This part, by far, is the most important thing you can do as a writing teacher. It will transform your classroom. It will make you a better teacher. It will make the students trust you more, and you'll have a better sense of what they need from you as a co-writer in the room. So teacher modeling is so important to do early on in your unit of instruction, and then revisiting it as you go through your writing process and students go through theirs. And you'll recognize that you're kind of coming to understand your personal narrative in different ways and at different times. And so offering your path is helpful in understanding that there's going to be multiple paths that the students take. So here we go with the teacher. What the teacher does is going to be really important in processing the whole experience of the personal narrative. So model your process and how you select a topic, how you draft, how you think aloud, the decisions that you make, and also any doubt that you have along the way, especially if you're feeling like this isn't so good or this is really hard for me. Say that aloud to your students as well. All right, so here's the part where the mentor texts circle back. As if I'm kind of take on the role of teacher here. So I'm starting my personal narrative, and I'm going to look at those mentor texts, and I'm going to say, which ones do I sort of want to inspire my own work or borrow from a little bit? And I'm going to say that for my lead, I really liked All Dogs Go to Kevin, that first lead with dialogue, because it takes us right into this moment where the character or the narrator was having this conversation with the lobster. And I thought that revealed a lot about the characters or the main writer's personality. And then I liked the closing from My Broken English, where there's such this moment of the surroundings kind of enveloping the writer. And this last line, their mossy velvet roots invited me to sit and felt so soft, I almost forgot T.T. Jeannie's Lazy Boy. And it kind of seems to me like this ending is about finding comfort, or the mossy velvet roots invited me, and how like how our surroundings can kind of be personified in a really creative way that might help me make sense of my topic. So I like these two, and I want to hold on to them for beginning and ending. So one of the topics that I chose to write about for my personal narrative was a beloved gift. So I found that I didn't have that in my heart map, but when I saw these other ideas, I thought about a special present, but more importantly, the memory around that present that I wanted to spend some time thinking about and writing about for my personal narrative. So for me, getting started, I told the students I needed to remember first. So I sketched spaces in my house and things that had happened. So this might be a really great strategy if you have students struggling to come up with their topic or to remember. And so I sketched the big dining room table. So I'm come from a family of 11, and we had like this massive picnic table. And I sketched this moment from my birthday. So you saw like a wrapping of my birthday present, and then like a birthday cake, and you can kind of see there's like pictures on the wall, and then there's like a window with bikes outside and things like that. And then it moves to the next scene where I have my present, which is a hair dryer, and you see this line of people wanting to get into the bathroom, but most likely they wanted to be using my hair dryer. I mean, it was my birthday, and I had to share my hair dryer. So it's a beloved gift, but it really was like a present that was representative of the kind of things that happen in a really big family, where if you get a present, you have to share it, and nothing is ever really yours. all these kinds of things. So drawing this helped me think about the 3 scenes that I might want to share in my personal narrative. And I'll put a link to how that turned out in the space below. But the sketching a scene was really helpful. So you may do that with your students, or you might be able to just write. But if you show your students how you begin, or if you struggle to begin, that will help them see what's possible. So here's my draft. Borrowing the All Dogs Go to Heaven lead, I started here. And so I would type this in front of the students so they can see how I'm getting started and the kind of things that come to mind. Hurry up, she whisper shouted. Your present is waiting for you beside your breakfast cereal bowl. I wrapped your gift myself. Rubbing my eyes and smoothing my wild colics to the crown of my head, I stood from my sleeping blankets, rolled them up, and rested them alongside number 10s on the closet floor. Growing up in a family of 11 children and having to share rooms with up to 5 siblings, there was no space for money for beds. All my life, my siblings and I only knew sleeping on the floor, elbow to elbow with my sisters. Okay, so if you see, I started with some dialogue, kind of took us right into the moment of this memory of getting my present. And then I did a little backup and set the scene. So actually, this was more like the first mentor text. Yeah, I think it was. So dialogue and then back up and then a little bit of background, right? What you'll notice from your students is that they might have a whole lot of telling you and not showing you, or a page full of dialogue, but not offering perspective. So one of the things about personal narrative is to have the dialogue, but then zoom out and tell us sort of what's going on, a little bit of the backstory, and then zoom back into what's happening. So into the action, out, so with some context, into the action, out with some context. All right, so I'm going to keep drafting and you're going to keep drafting and the students are going to keep drafting and then they're going to get stuck and say, what do I do next? And so you might have the personal narrative checklist that you started with. So you can circle back, go back to the mentor text to see what do you need next or how to move into the next scene. Do your mini lessons to show them some dialogue or show them how to transition paragraphs or things like that too. As you see your students writing, you'll notice this is what they're doing really well. This is something I can teach them to help. This might be something I do in a small group as you move through the process. So the drafting, the revising keeps happening. And then when students feel like they have a really strong draft, then it's a good time to do a peer conference. So the next parts after everyone has their draft, you too, is to have a peer conference, and there's a video for that, do some grammar lessons, do some revisions with the checklist, and then have your publication party. Once you have the publication parties, you can do some grading with the standards. Actually, you should probably just be assessing all the way along. So once you saw my lead and my dialogue, you can say, oh, Sarah knows how to do the lead, knows how to do the dialogue. I'm going to put that in the grade book. So by the time students do the publication, you've seen almost their whole draft and you don't have to take them all home to grade them. Isn't that lovely? So check out that grading video for more tips on how to do it. So thank you so much for being a part of our first tutorial, 3-part tutorial on personal narratives. I hope these steps were really helpful for you. Reach out if you have questions or want me to talk to other teachers or your team at school, and I'd be happy to answer any questions or Zoom with you. So just keep writing, my friends, keep writing.